Checking in with any tight places. Maybe noticing the soles of the feet, the arches, each toe. Allowing that breath to move in ways that don't make sense. There's no way to breathe so much into the low back. But yet, the idea of placing your awareness and your attention at the low back, breathing deeply. There's the sense of an unwinding there, a releasing. Just letting that prana, that energy move. Do whatever it needs to do to help you find more peace in the now. I'd like you to set an intention for this time. Maybe it's to let this time be very sacred for you to take care of yourself. Maybe you want this time to be in honor of someone or something, compassion or peace in the world, toward loved ones. Maybe it's just building your vitality back up so you can handle the day-to-day. Whatever it is, allow that to bubble up so you can acknowledge it for our time together. And continue to imagine that the body gets to rest. To start our practice, you are either going to stack several blankets, one on top of the other, or you're going to use one of your bolsters and blankets or a pillow. And we are going to open up through the side body over. So the rib cage is going to be over the bolster. You're going to be kind of in between the hip and arching over this bolster or blankets or pillows. So that in between spot between the hips and the rib cage. So go ahead and lay down on your right leg on the side, then the hip, and then just reach over and allow the arms to come overhead. This might be a nice time to take a blanket or a pillow and place it underneath your arms so it's resting just above your head, letting the arms relax a little bit more. Feeling the opening through the side body, through the hips. If you'd like, you can explore what it would feel like if you moved your leg. So let's say you take the top leg and bring it forward and the back leg back a little bit and start to open up through the hips. Noticing any constriction in the breath. Just allowing yourself to settle into this posture. Settle deeper into your body. If there's any other props that would make this feel more supportive, you're always welcome to grab those out. If there's something about a pose that hurts, if there's pain, always come out of it. There's no sense in overdoing it. Just focusing on being with your body, being with your breath. As you start to settle into the body and into the breath during this time, reminding yourself of your intention can anchor you in your practice. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bellies, maybe drawing those legs back to center if you have them spread further apart, starting to bring the arm back down, and then starting to press in and away from the bolster, coming back up. As you do so, I want to press your low back against the bolster, stretch those legs out in front of you, and just sit for a moment in staff pose. You can have your hands next to either side of your hips, feeling that spine nice and long. Just bringing back that centered feeling. Notice any energetic shifts. Maybe you're already feeling, a sense of an arc that's just left over from this last pose. Bringing the mind back to the spine, tall and long. When you're ready, you're gonna roll over now onto your left hip, lengthen that leg, and then arch over that bolster, stack of blankets or pillows, and then stretch your right leg this time up and away, and then your left leg back behind you if you want to open up those legs. Maybe grabbing again a stack of pillows or blankets to take any pressure off the arms that are above your head. And again, begin to settle into the breath, into the body, noticing the rib cage arcing and open, the side body open. And just resting the awareness within. Reminding yourself that there's nothing you need to do. And provided things feel good in the pose, allowing yourself to be with any discomfort of holding something, holding an expression in the body that you're not used to. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bodies and gently, slowly making your way out of this pose to again sit next to the bolster, lengthen the legs out, bring the hands to either side of the hips, lengthen up through that spine, just gently roll the shoulders back, widening the tongue, dropping the jaw just slightly, and trying to just allow the body to relax further. Tapping in again to this idea of an energetic shift. You arced to one side and you arced to another side. Two positions you probably don't hold for any amount of time throughout your day. And just noticing the impact and the effect upon the body, upon your mind. All right, the next pose will take a number of props. So I do not have a strap here, but if I had a strap here, I would use it. So I'm going to tell you how you can use it. So you're going to lay your bolster long, kind of the bottom half of your mat, right? So you've got one edge pointing to you, the other one pointing away. And then what I did is I also added this little cushion here. There's a little bit of a step down. It would be okay if they were the same height, so I could put this blanket here as well. But what I want to do, and if you had a strap, you could put it underneath the bolster because you can use it to tie yourself to this. We're going to lay on it. So you're going to come onto the bolster and you're going to allow yourself to lay down upon it, and then the head comes onto the floor. So this is sort of almost like a modified fish pose, because in fish, when you're laying on the ground, you tilt your head, but it should feel much more relaxing. You should feel an opening through the mid back, through the low back. But what's nice is if you have that strap to tie your legs to the bolster, you're not going to feel like you're spending a lot of time squeezing the legs together so you don't fall off. Now, if you have multiple bolsters or multiple blankets, you could just put them on either side to just kind of prop you up. And then you're going to allow yourself to rest. If you had an eye pillow or a scarf, you put that either on your forehead or over the eyes and allow yourself to relax. There is no crunching going on in my neck, okay? It feels nice and open. So you just want to keep an awareness of that. If there's any crunching going on in the neck, in the head area, you want to make an adjustment so that you're feeling open. So basically the back of your head is nice and flat on the mat. So take your time. You might need a number of pillows or blankets to create this effect. But then once you do, I want you to, again, allow yourself to let these props support you. That's why it's nice. If you can't use a strap, if you don't have a strap available to sort of tie your legs there, then using extra bolsters, extra blankets, just sort of prop you in place and allow yourself to be supported. Just give you another moment to get settled. I suppose one last thing you could do as well is you could place a blanket or something on your belly to get that grounded feeling. And then just allow yourself to rest. Breathe into the chest. Imagining the body is releasing and relaxing any tight places. And as your mind starts to wake up thinking of whatever's coming next day, a project at work, just remind yourself to come back to the now and maybe watch the rise and fall of your belly. Know that those thoughts, if you need them, they'll be there. Just let them sort of wash away for now, bringing that attention and awareness to the body. Reminding yourself that this is your class. If there's anything that's not feeling quite right, you can always adjust. Take another pose. Come into child's pose or shavasana or any number of poses. Reminding yourself that honoring yourself is most important. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bellies. And then being very mindful of coming out of this. If you're balancing, you can gently roll off to one side, but if you've tied yourself, then you can come up onto your elbows and press down into your forearm and sort of walk yourself back up before you take the strap off and come off. Now you're going to move your bolster or your stack of blankets over to the left side. Anything else that's on the mat, we're just going to move it off to the side. We're going to come into our reclined twist. So you're going to lay down for just a moment, just allow your low back to settle. Good. Press the feet into the floor, knees are in the air, your hips are in the center. You're gonna pick them up and bring them off to the right, settling the left hip down, the left leg straightening and lengthening along the mat. And then you're gonna take your right leg and just bring it over across your body and settle that right leg onto your bolster that's on the left. If you have your blanket, you can put the blanket on top of the leg to sort of tack it down. Arms can come out to a T, into goalpost arms. And then you can turn your head in the opposite direction to get the twist from the top to the bottom. Just taking your time getting into this. Stacking enough bolsters, blankets, pillows underneath your legs so that you feel supported. And then settle in. Reminding yourself that you do not need to turn your head all the way. You can stay center or even look to the left. Just allow yourself to relax. Allow yourself to feel like you are in service to your body and honoring yourself where you're at. Coming back to that intention you set for class. And allowing yourself to come back to the body when thoughts arise. Not making yourself wrong. Just gently drawing yourself and your awareness back to the body. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bodies. Starting to bring awareness to the navel center and engage as you start to draw that knee back into the chest. Maybe you need to take off the blanket. Good. And then just bring both knees into the chest just slightly. Nothing severe, and rock from side to side, massaging that low back. When you're ready, make an adjustment where you take the bolster to the opposite side, so bring it to your right side this time. Placing the feet back on the floor, picking up the hips, tilting them all the way, as wherever all the way is, to the left, so that you can place down that right hip first, lengthen through that right leg, and then draw the left knee over, twisting towards the right very easily. Arms can come out to a T, goalpost arms, however you like. Then you can turn, if you like, your head so that it's facing the left. You can bring a blanket to your navel, bring a blanket to your leg to tack everything down. Just begin to settle in. Again, if thoughts arise, just reminding yourself of the intention you set. Reminding yourself to come back to that inner world. Maybe watching the rise and fall of your belly. Maybe just paying attention to the breath. Dropping in. to deepen your breath in your bellies. Maybe removing the blanket if it's sort of tacking down the leg or if you have it on your navel. Bringing that awareness to the navel as you draw the knee back to center. Rolling onto your backs, bringing both knees in just gently, giving yourself a rock from side to side. And then allowing yourself to come onto your knees. We'll come into a supported child's pose. So you have your choice. You can have a nice big bolster, a stack of blankets. If it's hard on your thighs, if your thighs feel really tight, don't forget you can always roll up a blanket or use an extra mat and put it underneath your sit bones, kind of on your calves to help you feel supported. And you can have your knees together if you like, and you can come down into child's pose, or you can have wide knees, really draw that bolster in and under. Just give yourself room. If you have, if there's too much pressure on your belly or on your navel, just allow yourself to push that bolster away and give the belly room. So you can bring your hands to either side of the bolster, or you can stack your palms or your forearms and place your head so that your forehead is right on top, or you can just rest a cheek. So I'm gonna let you choose how you wanna do this, but if you have one cheek resting, I will give you a halfway point for you to gently inhale, draw yourself back to center, and then turn the cheek to the other side. So go ahead and settle in. Relax the body as best as you can. If you get distracted or start thinking about any number of things that need to be done, just remind yourself to be here now. Remind yourself of your intention you set. And imagine that you can tap into this inner world by just focusing on it, by just connecting to the breath and the body. If you're resting one cheek, you can gently, slowly just draw the head up, turn the head, and rest on the opposite cheek. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bellies. And just slowly, gently making your way out of child's pose. Maybe allowing yourself to come into tabletop, doing a little cat-cow, just to mobilize the spine. And then you can move your bolster off to the side. Now, with this next pose, you might decide you want either a small blanket or a small pillow, but we are going to open up through a one-sided frog. So we're going to open up through the hips. You might not need the blanket at all, but you're going to lay down on your bellies. Okay, maybe just rock your hips from side to side. And we'll start by bringing the right knee up towards about hip level. And then your foot, your shin is on the mat, or off the mat really. And your inner arch is laying on the floor as well. And then you can just come down and stack your arms and relax, breathing into that hip. Now, if for some reason that's just too much on the floor, maybe there's just something feeling in the way, you can take a blanket or a bolster and sort of either put it underneath the rib cage so that you have some room in the chest if you need it, or somewhere, maybe even on above the chest, right? But just allow yourself to be supported and to take any pressure off of anything that's squeezing into the floor in an uncomfortable way. But you're going to focus on breathing through that inner thigh and that hip on the right, just allowing it to be gentle. Something that might also be nice is putting another blanket on the low back, just to, again, remind your body to relax. Remind your body to feel grounded and connected to the earth, to the mat. And if there's something you wanted to do to make some sort of adjustment with the arms to make it feel more comfortable, feel free to play with this. But just breathe into that inner thigh. Just a nice, relaxing hip and inner thigh stretch. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bellies. Maybe coming up onto your forearms and adjusting, maybe moving any blankets or anything out of the way. And then bringing that right leg back down, stacking your forearms or your hands, and then shaking out your hips as you rest your forehead on those stacked hands or stacked forearms. Just shake out those hips. Breathing into the low back, breathing into the belly. Good. When you're ready, setting yourself up for the other side. So just drawing that left knee up so it's in alignment with that left hip. Maybe grabbing a blanket or not. And then finding a comfortable way to rest. Breathing into that inner thigh and hip. Settling in. to deepen your breath in your bellies. Gently starting to bring that left knee down, maybe making some adjustments, and then shaking out those hips. When you're ready, rolling onto your back, and then again, maybe shaking out those hips. And then when you're ready, you're gonna come up onto your knees so we can set up a pose with your bolster and some blocks, whatever you've got really. And if you have a strap, you can also pull that around. Otherwise, we'd like to use 1 or 2 blankets or some cushions. So we're going to stack our blocks like so. So you're gonna have one tall one, and then you're gonna have one sort of on a medium setting. And then you're gonna place your bolster kind of in the center, so it's at an angle, right? Then, once you get there, you're gonna put your low back so that it's kissing the bolster right up against it. And then you're gonna bring your feet together so that your knees fall open, so that we can work on opening up through the inner thighs. So this can feel sometimes a little vulnerable. So it's nice if you have multiple blankets so that you can also cover the area so you feel really safe, really cozy. But you're gonna take your blanket and then you're gonna unravel it so that it can go around sort of the entire way around underneath. So I have the blanket first draped over my feet, kind of in the center, and then I extend it out into the hips and underneath my knees. If I had more cushions or anything, I might add more. If you had a strap, you can put your strap in a big circle, and then you can sort of loop your strap around one knee, and then loop the other side around the other knee, so that you could figure out the tension you'd like so that it can take some pressure off. Then you're gonna bring your hands to the low back, basically touching that bolster, and you're gonna slowly lean back so that you can rest and be supported. Now here's the part, this particular pose for myself, if I was doing this on my own or in a class, I'd wanna have maybe a blanket on my belly, I'd wanna have 2 big cushions or pillows underneath my arms, or rolled up blankets. I'd like you to get as comfortable as you can here. The other thing that I want you to consider as you are moving through setting this pose up for yourself would be if your head feels like your chin is pointing towards the ceiling, maybe you want to just put a slight little tiny pillow or a slight little piece of blanket underneath your head just to keep your chin in alignment with your neck. So your neck is stacked above the shoulders all the way up. So take your time finding yourself as many comfortable, props as possible so that this posture feels good. Now, if for some reason at some point keeping those knees open just is no longer feeling good for your inner thighs, you can always close them and then just lengthen the legs and flex the feet gently until they relax and just hold the pose here. But again, the biggest thing about setting this up is making sure that the arms feel settled. Some of you may have long enough arms where they're just the elbows sort of reach the floor already and you just feel stacked and it already feels good. And some of us might have shorter arms and you want to get that propping so that it feels supportive. So take your time, another minute or so to get yourself set up. Depending on how squishy your blocks are, if you have extra blocks, you can always shove those underneath the arms or knees or anywhere so they're supportive. And then allow yourself to settle in if you haven't already. Coming back to that intention you set for this practice, coming back to the awareness of the body, that inner world. Maybe you're going to focus on the breath. Maybe you're dropping into the muscles. Feeling anything tight start to come and unravel just a bit. Letting go of the tension. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bellies, starting to draw the knees towards one another. Bringing the hands down towards the floor, starting to gently press yourself back up. Just coming out of this pose slowly, gently. And we're gonna set ourselves up for Mountain Brook pose. So this will be our last pose before you can move into Shavasana or stay in this pose. So I'm gonna choose at least 3 props to do this. So I'm gonna have a bolster, and then I'm gonna have a blanket. This blanket's gonna be underneath my rib cage, right? And then also, because I don't have another blanket or a small bolster, I'm going to use an extra yoga mat. And this is gonna be for my ankles. So again, the idea is that you're sort of in a babbling brook, mountain brook. So this blanket, I've got it folded, kind of the regular way, and then I added another layer. You might just wanna leave it one way, so just try it out. But once you lay down and your knees are over the bolster, you want the blanket to be underneath your rib cage so that the rib cage is up. I'm not sure why this is so loud today, this mic, I'm sorry. But then your arms are gonna come out to a T so they're not on top of the blanket. They're just above, so they're not touching. So you just feel an opening up through the rib cage, through the heart, and allow yourself to relax. Then you can have that little either rolled up blanket or extra bolster or rolled up mat, blanket, mat, bolster, and put it underneath your ankles just to give yourself some support. Then you could put a blanket on the belly, you could put the scarf over your eyes or an eye pillow over the eyes, but allow yourself to settle here. So take your time setting yourself up. Knowing that at some point I'll let you know if you want to change to just doing a regular Shavasana, you can, or this will bleed into our Shavasana time. So just get it as comfortable as you can. And once you're feeling settled in your pose, start to bring that awareness again back to your why, your intention for the class. Bring your awareness back to the body, back to the breath. Reminding yourself again, if at any time any of these pieces of these poses just feel a little too much, just make it easy on yourself. Prop it in such a way you feel supported, and then just let the rest go. And what I'd like you to imagine as you get yourself set up for this mountain brook pose, I want you to imagine that with every single exhalation, there is a wave of energy coming all the way from the soles of the feet, through the ankles, the shins, the calves, up the knees, into the thighs, the hamstrings, into the hips, the glutes, into the pelvis. Just imagine that there's a wave of energy and it's moving up and through you. And imagine that this energy that's moving and waving all the way along with every inhalation, that it's cleansing you. It's clearing out any stuckness, stagnant energy. And there's nothing you need to do. Just allow yourself to let it happen. Let go with every exhalation. Whatever this energy is helping you move, shift, release. It's that wave of energy from the soles of the feet all the way to the crown of the head. Maybe even feel it rushing through the hair. allowing the body to relax further into the floor. And connecting to this idea of that energy on the inhale, drawing up through the body, cleansing, clearing out, all the way up through the crown of the head. At any time you'd like to make any changes to this pose, maybe moving to a flat back, taking the blanket out or the bolsters, moving them out of the way and just coming into a regular Shavasana, feel free. Otherwise, stay where you're at, just focusing on the breath, focusing on your intention, and just letting everything else be set aside. Taking a moment to bring your awareness to the nostrils, imagining, just visualizing that you can see golden light on the inhale coming up through the nostrils to the point between the eyebrows, and exhaling that golden light back out. So there's 2 lines of light on the inhale coming up to the point between the eyebrows. Exhaling from the point between the eyebrows out. And allowing yourself to relax as you connect to this light, to this breath, to this energy. Just imagining the entire head surrounded in golden light. Feeling the body melting deeper into the floor. Beginning to deepen your breath in your bodies, Bringing gentle awareness to the fingers and toes. And bringing one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, and just taking a moment to acknowledge yourself for making time for you and making time for yoga. When you're ready, you can push yourself up to a comfortable seat with your eyes either closed or downcast. And you can just bring your hands to your heart. It can either be an Anjali Mudra, that prayer position, or just stack your hands over the heart. Just tuck your chin slightly and just honor yourself. Hold compassion and love for yourself first so you can inspire compassion and love in others. Thank you so much for sharing your practice today. If you have any questions, any requests for next time, please feel free and let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of the week.